self-hatred can lead to personal growth and self-actualization. But let me explain how. First, we need to start with self-hatred. Where is this self-hatred coming from? It's coming from not using your potential. It's coming from refusing to engage in the project of exploring and actualizing your potential. Abraham Maslow described this perfectly when he said that people who are avoiding their calling, people who are ignoring their talents, and people who are refusing to explore and actualize their potential perceive in a deep way that they have done wrong to themselves and they despise themselves for it. I explored this idea in multiple previous videos of mine where I'm talking about also something written by Maslow, and that's a chapter in his book titled Neurosis as Failure of Personal Growth. So neurosis in this context being a broad term that covers what we consider today mental health problems. So mental health problems arising from failure of personal growth, meaning not engaging or resisting to engage or escaping the journey of personal growth. That is the journey of self-actualization, the journey of individuation, however you want to call it. Another thinker that I referenced in those videos is Rollo May, existential humanistic psychologist or existential psychologist primarily, who said that the essence of neurosis are person's unused potentials. And we have Otto Rank, who inspired both Maslow and Rollo May, who talked about neurosis as failure in creativity. Creativity not as strictly artistic expression, but creativity as human potential. So Otto Rank, who was one of the main inspirations, not just for Maslow or May, but for whole humanistic existential movement. So we are talking about some of the greatest psychologists of 20th century. All of them had this idea that if you don't engage in the project of personal growth, individuation, self-actualization, all of those being the same, if you don't engage in that project, you will suffer psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. All of them agreed on it. By the way, let me just insert Carl Jung, not strictly part of existential humanistic tradition, but he was a colleague of Otto Rank back in Vienna School of Psychoanalysis. After that, they split. However, Jung and Jungians have a pretty similar idea of neurosis. Pretty similar compared to existential humanistic idea, that is neurosis as resulting from not being fully engaged in your journey of individuation, personal growth, or self-actualization. Okay, as I said, I made videos on that topic, so I will not now go too much into depth. We just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork for this self-hatred and how it can lead to self-actualization. So we have this conflict that you will suffer psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually if you don't use your potential and embark on that journey. Okay, Maslow says, and we will reference Maslow the most in this video because he gave kind of the clearest blueprint of how this unravels, especially relating to self-hatred. So, Maslow says these people perceive in a deep way that they have done wrong to themselves and they despise themselves for it. Now, what happens next? He says, out of this self-hatred may come only neurosis, meaning only these mental health problems, or a renewed sense of courage and self-respect. And you might think, how? How in the world out of self-hatred can come renewed sense of courage and self-respect? So we have to understand, self-hatred here is already part of neurosis, because we are learning to not perceive neurosis as a sickness and not to perceive it as a sentence that, okay, now we are messed up and broken and sick and this is it. Neurosis is a sign, a signal. Again, neurosis as failure of personal growth. We are not engaged in the journey of personal growth. We are not using our potentials. So this is an intermediary stage, neurosis. It's up to us and our reaction whether we stay in it. So that's why Maslow says out of this self-hatred can come only neurosis, meaning we are already experiencing neurosis and self-hatred is one of its expressions. So maybe with that self-hatred we are also experiencing some obsessive tendencies, maybe we're experiencing some panic, we are experiencing some anxiety, maybe signs of depression. Different internal distress. Again, what most people today will say, I have mental health problems. Not psychosis, let's be clear, neurosis. That's a distinction that now would explaining it further would make this maybe make this video diluted and too long. So one option is to remain in this neurosis, and this self-hatred has done nothing. It's just part of this suffering that we are staying in. Or renewed courage and self-respect. How? Maslow says, because of thereafter doing the right thing. And this small phrase is what we are looking at, what we need to take and run with it. Because of thereafter doing the right thing. What is Maslow talking about? He's talking about a small choice in your day that is going to shift the momentum of your journey. Because this self-hatred is not, at least not in the beginning, pathological. You are not sick. You are not broken. This self-hatred is an intense, uncomfortable, but somewhat valid response to the fact that you've been pushing aside and ignoring and rejecting your potential and the journey of pursuing, exploring, actualizing your potential. So this self-hatred is not a pathological condition. That's why I mentioned previously, it's not psychosis. So not psychosis, you are not someone, when we are discussing this context that I'm discussing here, we are not discussing a person who is unable to function, a person who needs to be bedridden and watched minute by minute or helped to function minute by minute. We are also not talking about a person who is in complete disconnect from reality and the outside world. We are talking about something that refers to, I believe, 99.9% of people that will watch this, and that's neurosis, that still extremely uncomfortable, internal distress, self-hatred being part of it, but you are still functioning human. Well, you get to choose how to respond to that self-hatred. And that self-hatred should be, basically what Maslow is saying, should be a kick in the ass. You're not born to hate yourself. What are we talking about here? You hating yourself. You are a unique human being with unique potential. You are not meant to hate yourself. So when you perceive in a deep way that you have done wrong to yourself and you start despising yourself for it, something must come out of it. What can come out of it is retreat and further spiraling down, which means staying in neurosis and then maybe moving towards pathology or pathological mental health problems, pathological issues. Or what can happen out of this self-hatred is not retreating, not spiraling down, but snapping out of complacency and doing just one right thing. Because Maslow didn't say they get renewed sense of courage and self-respect by building pyramids and by writing 5,000-page novel. Because of thereafter doing the right thing. What is the right thing today, this hour? What is the right thing? What is the next best thing? Carl Jung wrote this in a letter to one of his patients about getting out of depression. He said he went, typical Jungian rant of battling inner demons and wrestling with angels and so on and so forth. But then he said, or just do the next best thing, the next right thing. And for most people, that is appropriate. Not doing a jiu-jitsu match with your guardian angel or your shadow. I'm now kind of being a bit cheeky, let's say. I'm in full support of Jungian shadow work, stuff like that. But for most people, don't need that to shift the momentum of their life. You can do just that next right thing. Even Jung said that most people need to start with that. You just look at his letters. You look at his letters over and over again. He's proposing people like the most basic stuff. He's making somewhat of a kind of outdated sexist advice, giving advice to one lady. He says, start by reorganizing your sewing. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Sewing kit. Knitting kit. So I mean, probably appropriate for that time period. So he's assuming that the lady is doing a lot of knitting, and he says, if you want to feel better mentally, psychologically, start by reorganizing and tidying up your environment. Maybe you should reorganize your drawer that has the knitting kit in it. Jung, the godfather of deep inner work. And we have now to go back to Maslow, who says, because of thereafter doing the right thing. And Maslow also talked about growth choice versus fear choice as one of the main self-actualizing behaviors, or making the growth choice as one of the main self-actualizing behaviors. Then he proposes the idea of growth choice versus fear choice. Growth choice is obviously the choice that is usually the more difficult to make, but it's a choice to move through fear, through resistance, because on the other side there is growth and self-actualization. While the fear choice is to retreat from fear, to retreat from discomfort, which means to take a step back on the journey towards self-actualization. And he says that you get 12 times a day this dilemma or this choice between growth and fear. So it's not always these monumental choices. Why am I sharing this idea? Because you can right away connect it to this phrase, because of thereafter doing the right thing. How is the self-hatred transmuted into self-respect and courage? Because of thereafter doing the right thing. What is the right thing? It's the growth choice. It's the growth choice. What can you do again today or in this hour to shift the momentum of your journey? Why is this important? Why am I making a whole video about a single phrase? Because all of this, what I said, was just leading to the single phrase, because of thereafter doing the right thing. This is so important because when you have one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century who spent his life studying human motivation, human potential, human psyche, if he says, because of thereafter doing the right thing, and that person has so many times implied or directly said that self-actualization is the journey of accumulating those small daily actions, then everything aligns to tell you that if you are now suffering psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because you haven't been fully engaging in your journey, no hope is lost. No hope is lost. It's literally one thing that you can do. That thing is going to be the right thing, and that thing is going to be enough to shift slowly, in a small way, not in a messy way, but to shift the momentum of your life and of your journey. Everything that we know from these greatest minds of psychology, everything is pointing in that direction. Do the thing that is in front of you, engage in a small challenge, and you will start regaining self-respect. Self-hatred is going to start disappearing. Self-respect is returning. Courage is returning because you've chosen courage. You've chosen courage. If I can say so, you finishing this video is a courageous move, because it's more difficult than going now and doom scrolling or going swiping mindlessly on a dating app without even a hope of meeting someone, just for the sake of getting a dopamine boost. So not to give too much credit to my video or too much recognition to what I'm doing, but genuinely sitting through this video is a growth choice. That's how easy it is to shift the momentum of your day. Then by shifting the momentum of your day, you're shifting the momentum of your life and of your journey. Because once again, self-respect, self-esteem, courage, all of those are increasing. So the only question remains, what is the next right thing that you can and will do today? Maybe not even today, maybe this hour. Maybe not even this hour, maybe in the next 15 minutes. But you and I know that now, when this video ends, it's go time. No watching one more and one more and one more video. No going on Instagram or on dating apps. The only valid reason to go on a dating app right now is if you already have an active chat with someone and you want to send them this video and you want to say to your future boyfriend or girlfriend, watch this. This is the energy that we need to embody as a couple. That's the only valid reason to go on a dating app. The only valid reason to go on Instagram is to share this video with your best friend and to say, this is what I'm talking about. This is the type of energy that we need to embody starting now. Other than that, please, let's wrap up the consumption for today. Engage in your journey and drop in the comments. Okay, you have 1 minute of time to just drop in the comments what is that next right thing that you are going to do right now to shift the momentum of your journey, to re-engage in your journey, to become the hero of your journey, because that's what you are meant to be. Thank you.